Let's start with that chemical reaction again. 3 magnesium bromides plus 1 aluminum sulfide produces 3 magnesium sulfide and 2 aluminum bromide. And let's say that I give you 9 moles of magnesium bromide, and I want to know how many moles of magnesium sulfide you can make. So if we take a look at it here, I'm going to give you 9 moles of this thing. And I want to know how many moles over here will you produce. Okay, so there's an easy way to do this using ratios. First thing we need to know is that the equation actually represents reality. That this chemical equation is balanced and it is going to give you whatever you, in reality, it will give you whatever you put in. So even though it says that you need 3 magnesium bromides to produce 3 magnesium sulfides, if I give you 9, you can then convert that 9 into a number using some math. So first thing we need to do is set up some ratios. The equation says that 3 of these magnesium bromides will produce 3 magnesium sulfides. So I made that into a fraction. And then on the other side, I said, well, the question told me I had 9 magnesium bromides and asked me how many magnesium sulfide I would need. So I can solve this by cross multiplying, and that's going to give me 3x equals 9 times 3, which is 27. And if I divide both sides by 3, I will get 9 moles of magnesium sulfide. So you may have noticed right away, like, wait a minute, these things, the magnesium bromide and the magnesium sulfide, are in a 3-to-3 ratio, right? So a 3-to-3 ratio. But in math, we don't like to leave ratios like that, especially if they can be reduced. So we're going to reduce that thing to a 1-to-1 ratio, which means whatever you put in, you get out. If I put in 3 magnesium bromides, I should get out 3 magnesium sulfides. Or if I put in 9 moles of magnesium bromide, I should get 9 moles back out. Some of you may have also wondered, like, wait a minute, you did all this fancy ratio thing here, but can I just solve it the way that you set it up, Sturman? So if I set it up 3/9, like I have here, equals, because the arrow sign is like an equal sign, 3/x. Sure, that'll work, because we'll wind up getting exactly the same thing. If I cross multiply, I get 3x equals 27. So if you don't like ratios, you can do what I did and write in underneath what the equation actually tells you, and then set up those fractions. Okay. Let's take a look at another question. Same exact formula. This time you're going to take your 9 moles of magnesium bromide and you are going to figure out how many moles of aluminum bromide you're going to make. So I've got 9 moles here, and I want to know over here how many moles am I going to make. So I'm going to start it with the ratio method, just like we did last time. Our equation has to represent reality, so I'm going to say, look, I'm going to take my 3 magnesium bromides and my 2 aluminum bromides and make a fraction. And then on the other side, I'm going to take my 9 moles that I was given and try and figure out how many moles I'll get. We're going to cross multiply, and that's going to leave us with 3x equals 18, or x equals 6 moles when I divide both sides by 3. Again, we could have done it up here, making our own fraction, saying, look, you started off with 3/9 right here, and we're going to equal that to 2/x. And when I cross multiply, I get 3x equals 18, because 2 times 9 is 18. If that's easier for you, definitely do it. One last example. Same equation, but this time I'm going to give you 4 moles of aluminum sulfide, and we're going to figure out how many aluminum bromide we can make. So let's come over here. This time I'm going to say, well, you have 4 moles. And how many can you make? So let's start off by making our equation using our ratios. So I know from my chemical formula that I've got 1 AlS3 and I've got 2 AlBr3s. But the question told me I wanted to use up 4 of them, so I'll put my 4 there and my X for the AlBr3s. Cross multiply. And this one's pretty simple. We can go straight to the answer because 1 times X is X and 2 times 4 is 8. So I will get 8 moles of AlBr3. Or if you wanted to set it up like I have in the past, 1 over 4 equals 2 over X. Cross multiplying gives you X equals 8. And we are all done. I've always used examples where I started off with more moles than the recipe told me. Is it possible to do it with less? Sure, the math does not change. You still set up the same fractions. You solve them with the same cross multiplication.